Praise be Jesus Christ and Mary Immaculate. Welcome to this 32nd Sunday in Ordinary Time. We're going to read from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 25, verses 1 through 13. We are entering into the last few weeks of this liturgical year, and so the topic of the end of times becomes clear as we reach the end of this liturgical year. This is the last of the 5 great Gospels, or the great Sermons on the Mount that Jesus is giving to his disciples. And these 5 great sermons are to be compared to or made equivalent to the first 5 books of the Torah, which were accredited to Moses. Here Jesus completes his 5 great sermons. And this is also the last time that Jesus will speak about what the kingdom of heaven is like. Remember that for Matthew, he doesn't use the word the kingdom of God in order to be sensitive to his Jewish community. So he speaks about the kingdom of heaven. And this is important to note that he is not speaking about a kingdom in heaven, but a kingdom on earth. The kingdom of God here on earth, that is the kingdom where the gospel values are important, where the gospel values are lived, where the gospel values of inclusion, of care for the poor are at the forefront. In the past few weeks, Matthew has given us examples of what the kingdom of heaven will be like. He began by telling us that it was like a banquet, and then like a vineyard, and then like a community of justice. And this week, Matthew explains to us what the goal of the kingdom of heaven is for. And he does this in this parable of the 10 wise virgins. Marriage can be seen in 2 stages at the time of Jesus. In 2 stages. The first stage was the betrothal. You see that in Matthew 1:18. We see that this was the case about Joseph and Mary. Joseph was betrothed to Mary, meaning they were already married. They already belonged to one another, but they did not live together yet. That second part of the marriage happened only when the financial transactions, the financial contracts were fulfilled from both families, and only then would the bridegroom be able to go in procession to be joined with his wife. This is the role of the 10 virgins. Interesting here is that Matthew really is not following custom here, and Jesus is not using a traditional way that marriage went about in his sermon, because it really did not make sense that the bridegroom would be the one coming in procession to the house of the bride, because he wasn't going to live there. It was actually the bride who would be accompanied by her court of virgins that will come with light into the house of the husband, because that is where she is going to spend the rest of her life. But here, Jesus uses this example to catch the attention of his listeners. There is no mention here, you notice here, there's no mention of a bride. We hear of the virgins and we hear of the bridegroom, but there's no mention of a bride, because the point is not the bride. The point is about how prepared the virgins are. The preparedness of the virgins that are awaiting the bridegroom. The preparedness and being able to notice, to know, and to react when you know the bridegroom is close. Remember that even this parable is given to us speaking about the end times. So it's speaking about our preparedness, our readiness, how alert we are for the bridegroom's coming. There's 2 eschatological scenes here. And by eschatological, we mean end times. So they're not meant to be scary. They're just meant to be ones to prepare us. And there are 2 eschatological scenes. The first one is the wedding banquet. The wedding banquet has always been seen as an eschatological scene in which God prepares a banquet for his son, the bridegroom, and us, his church. And the second is the waiting in darkness. Waiting in darkness for something important to happen in the middle of the night, when people are drowsy, sleepy, not being attentive. These 2 scenes are very much end of time scenes, eschatological scenes. And you notice here that there's no difference in the status for the virgins. They all are virgins. They all have torches. They all came with oil in their torches. The difference is in the being prepared. In the being prepared and bringing extra oil just in case the bridegroom delays. There's always this sense of the bridegroom is delaying. We don't know the day or the time or the hour. As a matter of fact, in the text it says, 5 of them were foolish and 5 were wise. This is the second time that Matthew uses those words foolish and wise. The other translation is that is not only foolish but crazy, meaning you got to be crazy to do this. The other time that Matthew uses it is when he speaks about the man who builds his house on sand. He calls that man crazy. You have to be crazy to build your house on sand, because the wind comes, the rain comes, the water comes, and your house is destroyed. And he compares that to the wise man who built his house upon rock, because the wind comes, the waters come, and his house stands. So this is the second time that Matthew uses the same example. The crazy ones, the crazy virgins are the ones who bring the torch but no extra oil. And what he's basically saying is, you got to be crazy to think that that little bit of oil is going to last you for the whole night and for the delay of the bridegroom. And the wise ones are the ones that come prepared for a delay, who come prepared for the eventual coming of the bridegroom. But there's really no difference between them. He says, the gospel text says, they all became drowsy and fell asleep, meaning the criticism is not about them falling asleep. It's the nighttime. People should fall asleep, and they do fall asleep, all of them. The difference is that when the cry came at midnight, behold the bridegroom, the preparedness kicks in. And those who came with extra oil prepared their torches again and went out in looking for the bridegroom, while the others did not have any. The foolish ones say to the wise, give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out. But the wise ones replied, no, for there may not be enough for us and you. And while this response may sound harsh and greedy and anti-Christian, really here what Jesus is saying is that no, there are certain things in life that you only can procure yourself. There are certain things in life that you cannot share with others. What is required here, and what is required to enter into the banquet feast, what is required for us to enter into the kingdom of heaven, is something that cannot be loaned or given by another. It must be procured by ourselves. No matter how much our mothers love us, they can't give us what we need. No matter how much our fathers love us, they can't give us what we need. What we need in order to enter the banquet is something that I need to work at myself. And what is that? And this is the central message of the gospel. What is it that I need to enter into the wedding feast? Or what is it that this oil represents? Jesus tells us this in Matthew 5:16. Let your light shine before others, hence the oil, the torches. Let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. It's the good works that we do that allows us entry into the banquet of the Lord, into the wedding banquet. And the good works are for us to do. No one can do good works for you or in your name. That is something that definitely I need to be attentive to. I need to make the effort to, and I will be the one who reaps the rewards. God bless you.